Most people think parenting is a choice. That you decide how to respond to your child. That you're in control. But neuroscience tells us something far more uncomfortable. Most of what you do as a parent isn't chosen. It's inherited. Deep in your nervous system, wired before you had words or memories, are the patterns you learned as a child about what love looks like, what safety feels like, and what you do when someone needs you emotionally. Those patterns are running right now. In every interaction with your child. In every moment you move toward them or pull away. The parent you are today was shaped by the child you once were. And until you understand how, you'll keep repeating patterns you never consciously chose. Hi, I'm Sophia from Family Mind Decoded. And in this video we'll talk about how your childhood attachment style is showing up in your parenting right now, and the specific steps you can take to begin changing patterns that don't serve the child you're raising. Number 1. Your nervous system learned what love looks like before your brain could think. Before you were 2 years old, your nervous system was already building its working model of relationships. What does a person who loves me do when I'm scared? What happens when I reach out for comfort? Is it safe to show I'm struggling? These questions were answered thousands of times before you could ask them. And the answers became the blueprint. Not a conscious belief. A deep, automatic, embodied pattern that fires before you have time to think about it. This is why parenting is so triggering for so many people. Not because your child is doing something wrong, but because your child's needs, their crying, their clinginess, their anger, their vulnerability, activates your own unresolved experiences of having those same needs. Your child reaches for you, and something in you responds not just to them, but to every time you reached for someone and got a certain kind of response. The pattern runs. And it runs fast. Faster than thought. Number 2. Secure attachment becomes secure presence. If you grew up in a home where emotional needs were met consistently, where reaching out led to comfort, where vulnerability didn't cost you connection, your nervous system learned that people can be counted on. In your parenting, this shows up as natural emotional availability. When your child is upset, your first instinct is to move toward them. When they're overwhelmed, you can stay present without it feeling like a threat. This doesn't mean you parent perfectly, but it gives you a baseline of return. You rupture and you repair. The thread of connection doesn't feel permanently threatened by difficult moments because your nervous system learned early that connection survives difficulty. If this is your experience, your work is maintenance and refinement. The foundation was laid for you in your own early years. Number 3. Avoidant attachment becomes emotional distance. If you grew up in a home where emotional needs were met with discomfort, where being low maintenance was praised and needing too much was quietly discouraged, your nervous system learned that emotions are something to handle alone. As a parent, this pattern is often invisible to you because it feels like strength. You pride yourself on being calm, on giving your child space. You believe you're modeling independence. But there are moments you might not even notice. Your child comes to you crying and something in you tightens. Almost automatically, before you've thought about it, you say you're okay, or you suggest a solution before sitting with a feeling, or you stay physically close but emotionally go somewhere else. This is your nervous system managing emotional intensity exactly the way it learned to. The problem is your child's nervous system is learning from yours. And what it's learning is the same lesson you learned. Emotions create distance. The first step is recognition, not self-blame. The next time you feel that subtle pull away from your child's emotional intensity, pause. Name it internally. This is my pattern. And then do the opposite of what your nervous system is asking. Stay. Get closer. Let the feeling be there without making it stop. It will feel uncomfortable. Do it anyway. Because every time you override the old pattern and choose presence, you're not just giving your child something. You're also slowly rewiring yourself. Number 4. Anxious attachment becomes hypervigilance. If love in your childhood was inconsistent, sometimes warm and present, sometimes withdrawn, your nervous system learned that connection requires constant monitoring. As a parent, this shows up in ways that look like love but are driven by anxiety. You struggle to let your child experience difficulty. When they cry, the urgency to stop it is almost unbearable. You might hover without realizing it. Jump to reassurance before the child has even fully expressed what they feel. You may also notice that your emotional state becomes fused with your child's. When they're upset, you're dysregulated, not just empathetically but personally overwhelmed. And a parent who is anxious about their child's distress communicates that anxiety to the child's nervous system, teaching them that their emotions are emergencies, that they need rescuing rather than witnessed. The work here is learning to tolerate your child's distress without being consumed by it. To be present with their difficult feelings without treating those feelings as a crisis. This is some of the hardest work in parenting. And it almost always requires external support. A therapist, a community, a practice. But it begins with recognizing that the urgency you feel when your child suffers is partly about them and partly about your own history. Number 5. You can change your pattern even if you can't change your past. This is the finding that everything else rests on. Parents who do the conscious work of understanding their own attachment history can develop what researchers call earned secure attachment, a security that wasn't given in childhood but was built through reflection, repair, and relationship. What does this work actually look like? It looks like noticing your automatic responses and getting curious about them rather than just acting on them. Asking yourself, whose pattern is this? Is this coming from what my child needs right now, or from what my nervous system learned decades ago? It looks like rupture and repair. You will get it wrong. You will have moments where your old patterns run and your child receives the impact of your history rather than your intention. Going back matters more than getting it right the first time. Saying to your child, earlier when you were upset I walked away and I shouldn't have. Sorry. That repair, done consistently and honestly, is what builds secure attachment even after the rupture. It looks like self-compassion. Not the kind that excuses patterns, but the kind that understands them. You were a child once with the same need for comfort and presence that your child has now. Approaching your own patterns with the same warmth you'd bring to your child's struggles is not self-indulgence. It is the foundation of the change you want to create. Because here is the truth that makes all of this matter. The work you do on your own attachment doesn't just change you. It changes the blueprint your child's nervous system is building right now. Every time you override an old pattern and choose presence. Every time you repair after a rupture. Every time you show your child that love is reliable even when it's imperfect, you are wiring a different future into their nervous system. The cycle changes when someone decides to understand it. That someone is you. And the fact that you're here, asking these questions, doing this work, that is already the beginning of something different for your child. Thanks for watching and for being part of Family Mind Decoded. If you found this helpful, subscribe for more videos on parenting and emotional intelligence. And if you're ready to keep learning, check out this next video right here. See you in the next one.